about our next speaker right now. Enoch is the co-founder of Defending Utah. He's been an independent speaker, a radio host, and teaches the state of Utah how to defend the rule of law under the Constitution. We want to welcome to the stage Enoch Moore.
So this is what we're hearing from parents and kids now that school started.
My 10-year-old got in the car after his first day and sobbed. They made him wear his mask outside during recess in the heat. He told them he felt dizzy, and they said, "Oh, well, we'll take your temperature," but never did. For recess, they were put in zones separately, and they couldn't even play together. And then they cut lunch time down to 15 minutes to eat and for recess. They did a group project where they could only speak to each other via their computers while sitting in the same room. They wouldn't even let him bring his water bottle to the lunchroom, so he ate his lunch and went to recess with no water. He was so excited to go back originally, but when he got home, he begged me, "Please don't take me and make me go back." I've got a bunch of more of those I'm going to read in a minute. Now, this region of the United States has a long history of desiring to uphold the law of the land. D&C 134.1 says that God holds men accountable for what laws are made and how they are administered. The U.S. Constitution is the highest law of the land, and we honor and uphold that law. But multiple generations of ignorance of what the law says has put us into a very difficult situation. We have heard much about something lately called the new normal. Let's speak the truth about what this term really means with no sugarcoating. Accepting the new normal is the difference between accepting the U.S. Constitution as the law of the land or a new international system as the law that rules this land. The new normal means the new world order. People are hungry for solutions. We recognize our government is out of control, but we feel powerless to stop it because we have not understood what the founders of this nation gave us. They have told us that we, the people, are the final check and balance on our government. We've forgotten so many fundamental truths about this country. These truths are still true. They're waiting to be remembered. Today, each of you will become a little bit smarter than virtually every elected official in this nation as you hear some of these words of the Constitution and the teachings that the founders gave. The first truth that exists in this nation is this: we the people are the highest authority in our system of government. As a people, we wrote the Constitution to create the government and then tell them what they're allowed to do. We, the people, do ordain and establish this Constitution. Those are the words. It was created by us, and we are the masters of it. Article 4 of this Constitution says the United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government. In a republic, we create the law that tells the government what their job is. The United States is a republic. The state of Utah is a republic. Right now, they're not even acting like a democracy. They're acting like a dictatorship. The second truth is that the Constitution is the law, and all levels of government are limited by the Constitution. Upholding the law of the land means upholding the Constitution first before we acknowledge any legislative actions. If any level of government does something that we didn't give them the authority to do, then it is illegal. The founders called this pretend legislation. I'm going to use that phrase, pretend legislation. The third truth is that when the government does illegal things, these pretend legislations, today they no longer hold themselves accountable. So only a higher authority can hold them accountable. The founders knew of this possibility. This is why Benjamin Franklin told a lady who asked him, "What did you give us?" And he said, "A republic, if you can keep it." This is why George Washington said about the Constitution, its only keepers are the people. You here today are the keepers of the Constitution. Nobody else. Nobody else besides you personally can hold them accountable. Our freedom is conditional on our willingness to keep it. So how do you hold them accountable? First, you must understand the Constitution yourself. Read it and study it according to original intent. It was intended to be simple for the commoner to understand. I recommend all the books and videos by PhD Dr. Scott Bradley, a constitutional scholar. His website is freedomsrisingsun.com. I also recommend Defending Utah's book found on Amazon, The Proper Role of Government. Second, when you recognize something is illegal, that it's pretend legislation, you must choose to not comply so that you're not taking part in the crime. Ignoring pretend legislation is an act of following the law. If you and others are successful in ignoring these illegal laws, you have successfully held the law accountable by making it irrelevant. Third, what if enforcers of any kind push back and insist that you follow illegal pretend legislation? The founders gave us the First Amendment to help us in this situation. The First Amendment states that Congress shall make no law prohibiting the right of the people to peaceably assemble, petition for redress of grievances. Your right to gather in any size group is the fundamental right that you need to hold them accountable. This is why they're going after our right to gather in groups. Social distancing is doublespeak for destroying our right to assemble. And when it comes by force and fear, we should not acknowledge it under any conditions if we are to uphold the law of the land. When you're gathered as a group, you have the right to tell the government that they're breaking the law. This is part of petitioning for redress of grievances. You should document constitutional violations and when they refuse to correct them. You need to form your own parent groups, your own community groups, your own neighborhood groups. Groups can represent any size or demographic that makes sense to you. This is exactly how the founders organized against British tyranny when King George acted pretend legislation. The founders called these committees of safety. Go to the Defending Utah table over here and learn about committees and committees of safety and what a variety of other groups are already doing. When the founders organized to defend their rights and they formed their first committee, they only had 9 of them. They called themselves the Loyal 9. That became the Sons of Liberty, famous for the Tea Party and Paul Revere's Ride and more. As you petition, if they continue to ignore the voice of the people, your local groups will grow bigger as more come forward as victims of illegal pretend legislation. Continue to document these. You will be collecting what is called a long train of abuses. You should read in the Declaration of Independence what happened when the founders listed their own long train of abuses. Here's a long train of abuses in the schools just from the last few days. At one school, and these are coming to us personally at Defending Utah from mothers and parents and teachers. At one school, kids were being forced to eat their lunch on the floor cafeteria to create enough distance. When the principal was confronted, he said, "It's okay, the floor is clean enough to eat off of." Some schools have been forcing children to wear masks even at recess and PE class, even though the governor's orders say that's off limits according to his pretend legislation. Another class made children eat in chairs with no tables. One school, they were not allowing parents in the building under any reason. They even had back to school night outside so no teacher could see what was happening inside the school. Multiple parents have reported quarantine rooms. Kids are being sent to isolation rooms like a true prison. One school called the police to block students from entering with no mask. Multiple schools have called their classes silent zones to reduce breathing. The kids are literally not allowed to talk because talking can spread the virus. Teachers who don't want to support this tyranny have contacted us saying they feel powerless. As a parent or school faculty, you may feel like you are few in number, but I can tell you we recently published a constitutional opt-out, one for families and one for teachers. We know that quietly there are many teachers and schools that are thinking about how they get out of this. We have had over 500 unique downloads of the teacher opt-out form and over 3,000 of the student opt-out form by families. We have a long list I'm not going to get into. We're getting short on time of successes. We've seen people organize in groups in Logan and St. George and in Salt Lake City against this. Washington County school bus driver does not wear a mask, neither do his grandkids, and neither do kids at the school because they organized together and they opted out together. And they fought, they pushed back. When the lockdown first happened, the governor said you couldn't have more than a group of 10 people. Defending Utah invited 50 people on the Capitol grounds to demonstrate he didn't have this power. Russell M. Nelson taught the day is gone when you can be a quiet, comfortable Christian. You are either going to be uncomfortable because tyranny has taken over your life and country, or you're going to be uncomfortable because you're personally taking steps to defend the Constitution as the highest law of the land. Again, please visit our booth and learn about committees. If you're motivated to organize a group in your area, we're here to mentor you and give you guidance so you can take accountability and take your freedom back in your area. Thank you.